I am thrilled to be here, and frankly, today brings me great relief and solace that something like this is finally happening on a good scale. There have been for many years really devoted teachers, especially African American teachers of Transcendental Meditation, and many others who really dedicated themselves to bringing the benefits, really life-changing benefits of Transcendental Meditation to as many people in the community as possible, and also underserved people across the board. But particularly the focus today is to our African Americans, because Black Americans, there's been a wake-up call for many. We've seen it over the past 4 years, but over the past couple of years especially, it has come into focus how much racism, whether conscious or unconscious in some cases, and systemic racism still exists as well in the systems of voting, for example, today, and in other systems, as you all very well know. So that is the problem. It is a persistent problem. I think if you look over generations, you'll see that some of the systemic racism has certainly lifted from those early days of even greater oppression. But the need is great. And this is the time where the awareness of the entire public, even the entire world, watching the United States, is waiting for a solution and waiting for people to step up with answers and to do something that'll really have an impact. And on the political level, of course, there's much that can be done. But on the level of bringing two major things that the TM program can offer, and that's why this idea of breathe again, TM, is, I think, so appropriate and so powerful and so timely. For one thing, in terms of bringing relief, the profound inner silence and the depth of rest and depth of relaxation and the depth of the healing that takes place when one goes to the quiet depths of one's inner self and discovers a reservoir of inner strength and dissolves a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety. This is something that people recognize all over the world. This is something that is being used effectively by the Pentagon and the Veterans Administration to tackle acute stress and post-traumatic stress, the most difficult stress. So that is a powerful tool every human being should have. But those who suffer an additional burden of oppression, who live with prejudice and have lived with it, this is, I think, an extremely powerful tool. And secondly, on a societal level, the reason that racism exists, I'm convinced, is that it is rooted in the narrowness of vision that comes with a stressed brain, basically. And everyone in this age is dealing with stress. In fact, throughout time, everybody has had to cope with stress. And when the brain is stressed, then everything seems to be foreign. Everything is perceived to be more of a threat. And the vision becomes extremely cramped and narrowed. It's called the fight or flight response, where the higher brain is shut down and the primitive brain or reactive brain essentially takes over. And in that state, the whole physiology and brain physiology is focused on survival and fear of others, fear of anyone who doesn't behave like you, doesn't believe like you, doesn't look like you, different cultures, religions, races, everything is a threat. But what's very powerful about the ancient technique of Transcendental Meditation brought to us across all these ages, preserved and brought out into the world by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi 5 decades ago, is that it turns the attention within, and in that process, the narrowly focused, very cramped horse blinders, you could say, that everybody has on as a consequence of stress, start to relax as the awareness expands. In the process of diving deep within, we expand consciousness. And when consciousness is more expanded, when comprehension is expanded, that narrowness of vision, which draws differences and creates boundaries where boundaries aren't needed, which brings fear of other, It's just all rooted in ignorance and basically has its basis in narrow comprehension. So for a society, all members of society, exposing people to the expanded consciousness that is available to every human being within, everybody has easy access to with just a few moments or maybe a few hours of instruction, simple, easy instruction. Everybody can just, everybody can relax, everybody can breathe again, and everyone's awareness can expand. And the incredible narrowness of vision that creates sharp national boundaries and cultural boundaries and ethnic boundaries and religious boundaries and racial boundaries, all of that is just basically a disease of the mind. It is the mind's inability to understand what is the scientific fact in this modern scientific age, which is the fundamental unity of life, the fundamental unity of humanity. That is what life is like when the brain is functioning the way it is designed to function. So the beneficiaries of this program, this beautiful new program, which I support with all my heart and all the resources I can muster, is that yes, first and foremost, to provide relief from those who absolutely deserve and need special relief based on the burden that they have been carrying throughout their lives in so many cases, a burden I didn't experience growing up. But secondly, to elevate the whole society to be a society that is unified. And everyone, I think, agrees today what the United States needs, and similarly the world, is greater unity. And as a scientist, I can say unity is the reality. Anyone who doesn't see the unity of humanity, doesn't experience, doesn't perceive others as identical to, as near and as dear as one's own self, is simply scientifically mistaken. So experiencing unity quietly within, bringing that unity and harmony and love out into your activity as a simple consequence of letting the mind gain the deep rest and letting consciousness expand the way it naturally does when given an opportunity will be transformational for all Black Americans suffering and for all Americans causing the suffering, and also, I would say, suffering themselves. So I wish you all great luck. It's an interesting coincidence, perhaps, that today's inauguration is taking place on a traditional day in some of the ancient calendars of our world, ancient cultural calendars of our world, like the Vedic calendar. It's called Victory Day. It is a day on which new initiatives are blessed with auspicious success. And I do believe this initiative is well begun, and hence you could say well begun is half done, but also it's so timely and has the support of nature. It has the need of our time and the support, frankly, of millions. These days, we're seeing a shift, and with greater awareness, I'm sure hundreds of millions of people, more or less, hearing about this will say, yes, it is about time. I'm grateful to all those there who have had the initiative and the creativity to launch it, and everybody else who has been supporting in whatever way they can. And I wish you the greatest success, and I pledge my full support and the full support of the organizations that teach Transcendental Meditation in the United States to make it as easy and effortless and successful as possible.